I mean, I've said this before, but it's a kind of an object lesson in what happens to humans, is that our ability to normalize. One of the mini versions of that is how an actor gets used to the mise en scène and the props and the costumes. That when I first tried on the SS outfit, it was quite a moment, and everyone in the room there was a kind of pall of silence that came over, and I remember going out to the corridor and people going, "Whoa, okay," you know. And there was a palpable feeling of like we had entered into a kind of zone. I remember a couple of days later walking past someone and them going, "Cool," and a couple of days later, "Hey Rufus," you know, it's just your clothes after a while, and you become swastika blind. Because my office, we in our last kitchen in the Smiths' last home, I didn't even know that the linoleum was in a swastika pattern. After a while, this is what happens, that it just becomes, that's what floors look like, you know.
Right.
And we have to kind of decompress at the end of a season because we become anesthetized to it, because that is what happens to your environment. What is today's horror is tomorrow's just accepted reality, and this is what happens to people. This is how Nazism can happen. This is how all sorts of shit happens. That's my experience. I think it confirms kind of fears and struggles that he's had right from the start. You know, he knows he's made a kind of devil's bargain. He has tussled with the Smith that he might have been. You know, that still exists somewhere in him. So even when he appears to be a zealot, he has doubts, and he's just dealt with them in kind of a zealot's way, which is sometimes the doubting zealots are the dangerous ones. So when things start to come calling for the price, there's an inevitability, a kind of grim irony to him. When he becomes aware of the existence, the possibility of a different reality in which he was unburdened by these choices, and where there's a possibility that some of the things that happened didn't have to happen, it has a powerful spell on him, but it sends him deeper into secrecy. It separates him further from his wife, ostensibly to protect her from something she can't handle. He thinks that's the reason, but it isolates him further. And that's very, you know, it's a way in which something that's a kind of genre thing, it getting more science fiction, actually has a profound emotional effect on him, which is unusual. It's lucky for an actor that you get an advantage in your acting possibilities from something that's kind of like a science fiction.
So the two men our two characters experience a great amount of isolation during the
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. Very isolated, there with a lot of interiority.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was the dreams that Smith is tortured by, actually, and also, you know, with the rioting, the Nazi rioting, for whatever reasons, was just kind of chilling, because what was chilling was the fact that by the time we saw the filming of that, I was used to seeing it. It wasn't as shocking to watch that in the script. It was more reminiscent of watching the news in a way that I'd never would have envisioned when we were doing the pilot. But in terms of character-wise, exploring Smith's kind of tortured dream world that you wouldn't get to know about, that for all the signs that he's managed to push all this stuff down, it's there, you know. And the imagery of that was really awful.
Great.